Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, kings and queens, a very good morning to you on this cold Tuesday morning. Happy new month. I know it's the coldest month ever. It's so cold outside. Kuna wengine wetu tunaumia lakini we're gonna be fine. But hapa studio ni kuhot tena sana. Watu ni wa hot. Good morning. How are you, CJ?
Very well. How are you?
Looking good.
Thank you. What's with the white and black?
I don't even know. Today, my outfit today was not well thought. I just decided to just go with the flow.
You're good. You're good.
Thank you, CJ. Hi, Bobby.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm good. Wengine wetu tuko na joto. Enough joto kupea everyone.
For everyone in the studio.
Last week Ken alisema I'm a hugger. I'm a chronic hugger. I always hug everyone.
Na mbona leo hujatu hug by okay, hujani hug.
I promise after this show. Ndawa hug mpaka mshangae.
Hey, HR, Rada.
You know I avoid them before we start the show.
I know, because of the makeup. Last week we did not.
It's left everywhere.
But last week we did not do you bad.
Who is we?
Bobby and I. Bobby did the thing.
Nilimpa makeup. Sasa ukienda home una explain aje?
How do you explain it?
Because I am not guilty of anything. Wacha nikuchomee.
Guy.
Last week she bought us heavy breakfast.
No.
She said you missed.
Oh, she did.
Yeah, I did, guys.
And
You
we were
missed.
given ultimatum. If it's not today, it's not happening.
That was it, by
That's
the
the
way.
second time it's happening without me, right?
CJ is always busy, guys. CJ is always busy.
He's not buying, so what to do?
So CJ, you owe us breakfast, okay?
All right.
We just fixed CJ on
Umemweka on the
TV.
spot.
We were on the spot, but
Missed you last week.
this week, guys, because it's a new month, we're gonna be talking about. And by the way, July, unajua sasa tumeanza the other half of the year. We started in January, and when we started the show in January, we talked about we call them goals. Some call them resolutions, some call them plans, some call them actions, whatever it is that you call them. But every beginning of the month, we always start like with the resolutions. Let me just call them resolutions. You start with like the long term, the short term, 3 months, 6 months, and then there's now the whole year. So where are you right now with your resolutions? I know some of you are feeling, it's always pressure. You're feeling a bit down. You're like, what? Mwaka imekimbia, it's July. And you're feeling like, I've not even achieved anything. But usijali, don't put yourself under so much pressure and scrutiny, by the way. Let me start with, I've really missed CJ, honestly.
I kind of had a
missed
feeling.
it last week. So CJ,
Right.
I don't want you to really talk about your resolutions, but I want you to talk to the person that maybe they had resolutions and it's already 6 months gone, and probably they're just feeling like they're just feeling down, they're feeling like they've not achieved anything, the pressure is on. Maybe just talk to that person.
When you're working around your life, you need to be like somebody who is at a construction site. If you are building, most people who have built will tell you, number one, that their timelines keep on getting changed and affected. The second thing is the budgets, that when you start constructing, you probably thought you'd build a house using 3 million, you end up using 5, because there are some things that show up when you begin to do the work. So the most important thing is to still have your goal in mind. As long as you have not lost track of where you're trying to go, you have to give yourself grace for a lot of changes that will happen. Sometimes what we think is the absence of progress is not true, because sometimes the progress is internal. That you may not have been growing financially or in your career, but you're a better person. You built yourself mentally, you're stronger, you're able to deal with situations differently, or you have developed yourself socially, you are keeping more friendship right now, you have been able to, communicate better with different people. So whereas most of the times when we talk about these goals, we mostly look at the externals, sometimes we ignore what is happening to us, in us, and how we are developing and growing. So do not just look at what's happening outside. Look at how you're growing as an individual, mentally, socially, emotionally. There are people who probably, you know, by the beginning of the year, they were the kind of people who would snap very easily. Right now, you realize that things can happen around you and you're still remaining strong. So that's very good, because it is said the greatest project you can work on is yourself, right? If you are becoming better, then you're making progress. Eventually, the things that you want to do can only be done to the level of how you have grown. That you will never build a business, a marriage, a relationship, a career beyond whom you are. It will take the shape of your mentality. It will take the strength of your emotions. It will take your mental capacity. If you're not built up, if you build things outside, they will crush you. They will just fall on you, because you are the foundation of everything that you're doing. So first of all, look at the growth that you have had, and then celebrate the progress that you have made. There may be some things that you wanted to do in 2025, which you may not accomplish by 2025, but have you made progress? And these lines that we draw, the definitions, we are the ones who put them on ourselves. You know, it's me who will say, I want to build by this year, or I want to get to school by this year. Nobody really puts that pressure on you. Oh, I need to get married by the end of 2025. But you can get married in March 2026. You know, you're not late. You're not late. You're just on course in life. So celebrate the progress. But also, you know, I love to say, appreciate the things that you have done. We take for granted, one, the fact that you are alive enough to still dream. You can have the best of dreams. You can have the greatest of speeds. If you're not alive, you're just not alive. You won't fulfill that. So every day you wake up alive, it's an opportunity for you to pursue these things. We sometimes get entitled because we are not cognizant of the fact of the blessing of life that we have, that there are people who had the resources to accomplish dreams, they had the thoughts toward it, they had the energy, they had the drive, and they're not there. But you're alive and you're awake. That's the first thing you need to appreciate. Why I'm saying that, QT, you can't do anything without positive energy. So you have to find this positive energy somewhere. If you're not finding it in your bank account, if you're not finding it at your work, if you're not finding it around, then find it within you and tell yourself, by the way, this is a new month. It's the second half of the year. I am alive. Pick something positive and build on it, but celebrate the progress you've made.
True that.
Yeah.
6 months in, I think most people overlook. I love what you've said, like, we don't look within what we've achieved. We always put the pressure on us. And maybe coming to you, Ken, from a corporate view as the HR, unajua mnakuwaga na zile goals set, maybe even for the organization, for the employees. Maybe you can talk about that from that perspective of the corporate side.
Yeah. Unlike corporates, you know, people who say they want to achieve ABCD, they don't necessarily have the structures or the policies. In a corporate structure, a company that had set some terms or some goals to achieve by now should actually go on a retreat and find out whether what they set to do is what they are doing. A company is made up of people. And last month, by the way, our viewers really appreciated the fact that we took our time to discuss mental health for the month of May and June. In a country like ours, where everybody is angry, the people are angry towards the government is angry towards the people.
Everything is making us angry.
I don't know where the anger is coming. Pesa hakuna. Zile ziko haziko. We need to go back, retreat and ask ourselves, have we been able to achieve 50%? Yes, there is a likelihood that maybe external forces affected corporates from achieving what they wanted. But like, for instance, QT, let me use you because you're employed here. Do you take your time to ask yourself, have I helped my organization to achieve the goals the organization set for me? Because you cannot just be employed just for the sake, because there is a vacancy. Somebody is employed to meet the needs of that organization, and never be lied to by anybody. Even the ones who say we are not here for profit are there to make money. The word profit has different meanings to different people, but companies are there to make money. And a company should ask itself, is it our processes? Is it our products? Is it our people? Those three things are very important. If the product is right, what we are selling is right, and the processes are right, could we have the wrong people, or might we have not empowered the people to an extent that they need the empowerment? Because if the calendar year of a company starts from January to December, we should be asking ourselves, yes, have we achieved our 50%? There are companies that run over and above. There are companies that are dragging. So it is the high time for corporates to withdraw, retreat with everybody that is involved, from top to bottom, and everybody gives their opinion and says, yes, we might have achieved this because we did this. Let's not make a mistake. But there's also something I have come to realize. Maybe, CJ, I don't know whether you will concur with me. If a company has a good first half of the year, they struggle the next half of the year because they might start celebrations early.
Yeah.
Did you see what Man City did last night? When you start celebrating when it is too early. Yeah? God's sense of humor can actually slow you down and tell you, I wonder what the pundits will do now. They had Chelsea versus Man City. Man City will win. Fluminense, nobody saw them. Yeah? But going back to this year so far, if the company has achieved 50% of its target or is running above, they also need to ask themselves, were our targets too low? You know, again, you cannot celebrate the fact that, yes, we are achieving. Maybe they were too low. Yeah? And you cannot also celebrate mediocrity. Maybe you are getting your results in the not good way. So you need to ask yourselves, are we headed into excellence or are we headed into the road of mediocrity? If it is the latter, you need to change. If it is now towards excellence, make sure that you write it down. Share even the best practices. The companies that are good and they know what they are doing in the market, they also take their people to celebrate the little wins. Oh, I had promised last weekend with my company, we took our people to Aberdares National Park, and the first lady who saw me there, Regina, greeted me and says, I watch you on Citizen. I promised to say hi to them. So Aberdares National Park, habari zenu, so that I can get a free offer. Yeah? When you withdraw, then ask yourself, what are the pitfalls that we need to avoid? What is it that we did well, we need to continue doing? What is it that we have not yet done? In as much as we are getting the results, what is it we have not yet started doing that we need to start doing? And it's okay to even change the route. If you think you are having targets that can never be achieved because the factors are not the same, the environment is not the same, go back to the drawing board. Nothing is ever cast on stone. Even when it comes to personal goals, nothing is ever cast on stone. As long as you're sane, you're happy, and everything seems to be on the right move, what I would want to say is when companies want to change websites, they launch a website, but they call it a WIP, a work in progress. As long as you are work in progress, always keep moving.
And coming to you, Bobby, I wanted to talk about, have you met half your resolutions? Are you there yet? And is the pressure real? Are you feeling the pressure, or you're just relaxed and you're like, I'll get there when I get there?
When Ken was speaking, I started thinking to myself, our goals zangu ziko too low. Because nazi achieve.
Umemaliza zote.
Let me explain. So, my goal in life as an individual has been to achieve comfort, peace, and happiness. Hizo ndo vitu mimi nimekuwa nikichase. So whatever that looks like, in whatever environment I'm in, wherever I am, however I feel like, those are the things that I try to achieve even on a daily basis. And I think that's why it feels every day like I'm already living in my dreams, like I've already achieved my goals. So hizi vitu zingine nafanya ni ma side quests. So mi nilisha kafunga. So, I love that. But I'd like to add that last year, 2024, my goal was self-discipline. I'm a very indisciplined person. I find it very difficult, like, to stick to a course, like to say this is what I'm doing and this is what I'm going to do until I achieve it. Because when I get bored, I'm always ready to jump ship to the next project. Ikinibamba nione inaanza kuniboni, nakuanga ready sana to move on to the next thing. But I wanted to achieve discipline, and I talked about this last year, I think. And some of the way that I achieved this discipline was by starting to work out, to eat right. And this ended up like sifting into my personal life. It ended up making sure my relationships were amazing, my mood was amazing, my health was amazing. Everything, ikaanza tu kublossom na nika-enjoy. So nikafika December nikajiprovia, naweza fanya self-discipline for 12 months. Okay. So this year nika decide my goal is going to be very different. It's going to be rest. And a lot of people, especially in the African community, will look at rest like it's something, not kitambo saizi, especially in this capitalistic world. Resting is looked at as laziness.
Yes.
When people see you taking a break or, taking time to just be by yourself, they think it's not right. Maybe you're not okay, but that has really been my priority. This year, soka umekuwa ukinitafuta na unioni, ni juu mimi napumzika. This year niko tu kwenye kupumzika. I do this because we were talking about this over breakfast last week. The work that I do, everything that I do is very fun for me. It's very easy to me, very fun. It's amazing. It fulfills my life. And because of this, sometimes work doesn't feel like work. And when I'm overworking, I don't notice I'm overworking because it's fun. It's exciting. It's interesting. Sometimes I wake up, I've been going without even checking, and I have crazy burnout. So that's why I decided that I needed to take a step back, kidogo, and just try to rest a bit. So I've been very intentional with my rest, and I think it's been working because, I mean, some other areas of my life have slowed down, but that's very intentional because I'm not here to just go. I'm here to make sure I'm happy, I'm peaceful, I'm relaxed, I'm comfortable. So whatever that season of my life looks like, if it looks like sleeping, if it looks like cooking in the house and just reading a book and not seeing people for a while, that is what I'm trying to do. I say this because mwaka ni yangu. 2025 ni a very personal project. I'm trying to give myself time, money. Hizo flowers nasemanga hapa na try kujipatia, attention, affection, romance. Just spending a lot of time with myself. And it's really, really good. So yeah, I can't say that I have achieved my goal already because I have been doing this very, very intentionally. And I'd like for people to actually take time and think about this. We never really think, when we're talking about goals and resolutions, we're always talking about mostly, number one, the material stuff that we're chasing. I want a GLE, I want to go to Dubai, I want to nini. Hizo vitu zote ni possible, lakini you have to remember you need, venye CJ amesema, you need life, you need health, you need to be here for you to be able to enjoy all these things. Otherwise, they're just another list that you're writing. So yes, I have been able to achieve my goals, but it is very intentional. Even rest is intentional. Last year, I was actually trying to balance my work life and, my resting. Na nilikuwa nashindwa until someone gave me really, really good advice. Sikumbuki kama ilikuwa CJ ama ilikuwa nani, lakini ni advice nilipewa a few years ago. They told me rest has to be intentional. Like you literally have to, unaona hii list, imeandikwa hapa kwa hii backdrop. Rest has to be in your to-do list.
Yes.
You have to allocate time for it. If you don't, your body will start telling you, empty, empty, empty. And now your brain imeisha, your money imeisha, kila kitu imeisha. You can't be there for anyone else if you're unable to be there for yourself. So yeah, intentionality, everything that you put your work into, including sleep. This year sichezi na usingizi yangu, by the way. Kuna watu wamekuwa nitafuta nipati, niko tu kwa kitanda na lala. Sina mambo mingi ya kusema.
I love what you've said because even me ulala by 7 p.m. na kwanga tu niko out. Like, we really need to be intentional about that. And resting is seen as lazy, as you said. Most people see, like, they would say, Bobby's lazy, but you're just taking time to rest because the same body needs you tomorrow. You need to take care of your body and even feel it.
Na ufanye rest yako ikuwe according to maisha yako. Sione Bobby analala the whole week useme
hakuna kitu anafanya. Would you?
We, vitu zangu zinasonga nikilala. Si ati nimelala today. Even that takes planning. Even it's just like when you're going on vacation, you make sure your rent is paid, your bills are paid, your
everything is paid.
Even when you're taking the rest, make sure umejipanga. Usiamke, umepumzika, uko very well rested. But sasa mapresha zinaanza za kwanza hii ni wiki ya rent. Mapresha sasa zinaanza una kakitu utafanya nini? So curate it according to your life. Sometimes rest is taking a walk from the office to the house. Sometimes it's watching TV for an hour before you take a shower. Sometimes it's after you shower, you sit on the bed and do nothing. You just sit on whatever rest looks like for you. Way pange according to you.
You grab it. And I like what Ken also said about changing the route if it's not working. Sometimes, CJ, we are so focused. Like I said in January, for example, I'm gonna build a house, but things are not working out. Maybe financially things are not going. So talk about like, is it okay for me to like really leave it alone first, do what's achievable, and then move on to something else? Because I think that also really kills us mentally. Like you really, really want to achieve something, but it's not working. And I feel like if I postpone it to next year, probably it's not gonna work or it's not gonna be okay. Maybe we can talk about that.
All right, before I get there, I have issues with Ken because when he asked me to train his people, they took me to Karen. Then he goes to Abadere.
Imagine.
That's valid beef, right, Bobby? Then but you see, I said that every time you wake up, appreciate the fact that you're alive, because it's only when you're alive that you can actually dream and achieve your goals. Vision is a picture. It's a destination you want to get to. If I set out today that I want to go on holiday, I've got to arrive there to have the holiday. So I've got to, first of all, appreciate that I am here, that I can book a ticket, I can either drive or something. The decision on how you're going to get there is a decision you make based on the realities that you have. And those realities may change. I may feel like I want to go to Mombasa in August. May have planned that probably maybe from January. This August I will go and take a break for a whole week or something. I get to July, I've had to deal with a lot of things, so I may no longer afford an air ticket. But that's not the only way to get there. So I can decide, maybe I'll use the bus, or I'll use the car and get some people to come in and fuel with me, or I will use the train, because I still have the destination. It's still very clear, and I still want to get there. What the plane does, it shortens the distance, makes it comfortable, but eventually, whichever way you go, you get to Mombasa. So I may have to adjust how I'm getting there as long as I get there. And that's the whole thing even about the dreams and the goals that we have. Making adjustments is not a sign of failure. It just means that you're realistic enough to look at the things that you're facing at that particular point. There are very many external factors that we normally cannot control. When we make plans, we are not sure about the weather. When we make plans, we don't know about what will be happening. You'll make plans. I remember 2021, we thought we were out of COVID, and then that wave came in and hit the country even worse than 2020. I lost so many acquaintances between February and March of that year. Then we thought, okay, 2022 is here. We are done with COVID. We are done with everything. Then Russia invades Ukraine. For the first time, we were queuing for fuel. I mean, something that is happening so far. And you come in here and the queues for fuel, I don't remember seeing anything like that, probably since the 80s, So there are a lot of factors that will always come in. Then we get into 2023, we have some other issues. 2024, who thought that the Gen Zs would be on the street, lock down a country for nearly 2 months? And this, when you talk from now a business perspective, you realize how these things affect you, that you can't achieve certain goals. So you've got to be realistic enough to know, this is what I wanted to do, but there are also other factors that are beyond me. Even just in your house, you may have somebody who is unwell, you may have somebody who lost a job, you may be a couple and you had goals and then one of you loses a job in this kind of situations. It means you're going to make adjustments. Adjustments are okay as long as you never lose sight of where you're going to. It's only a problem if the adjustment is to empower mediocrity, like Ken was talking about, or the laziness. You see, the difference between rest and laziness is that rest is taking a break from something. Laziness is taking a break from nothing. It's not that you work at anything. So that's the difference between what sleep is as rest and what it is as laziness. Because if I never wake up to do anything, you may not necessarily have to leave your house to go to work, right? Because people work even remotely. But if you never do anything, you can't call that rest. That's not rest. You don't do anything. No, you're not making applications. You're not trying to apply yourself to something. You're not calling for opportunities. That's now not rest. But if you're doing those, whichever way you're doing it in your flexibility, then you say, look, I need some time off from what I'm doing. That's rest. So as long as the adjustment does not empower mediocrity, as long as the adjustment does not empower laziness, or it doesn't empower the dysfunction that you have, where you just feel like, well, you know what? I can push it to 2 years. CJ said you don't have to finish it in a year. When you can do something, please do it. There's also the place of the growth that I was talking about. Sometimes you do these things for your personal growth. If you can do it, do it. Teach yourself to do things and finish. Finish your course. Finish your education. Complete it. Finish your task. Stay consistent in the gym. Sometimes it is not necessarily even the gym now. It is you whom you're becoming. You're teaching yourself to finish certain things so that you're not also now making excuses. Adjustments are okay as long as you're not making excuses for not doing what you need to do.
I like that, and I like that the fact that you've given the example of the gym. You are talking to me that every single day.
Oh, you don't
Ujaona picha zake za jana.
I know. Every single day.
That's when you know that somebody now has gotten into it. Yes, they no longer need to talk about it.
True.
Because it's become as normal.
It's now become a norm, by the way. And maybe we can talk about tracking the progress. How can an individual or maybe even corporate, you can talk from both aspects. How can I be able to track my progress, know if I'm going the right direction, when to change the route, and when to maybe stop and actually do something else, you know?
Okay. At the beginning of the year, I talked about something called an accountability partner.
Yes.
People who hold you accountable. By the way, I really appreciate my accountability partners. We ended a meeting yesterday night at 12 midnight.
Wow.
Because it was the last day. Technically, 2nd of July is always the beginning of the second half of the year. But when you look at the calendar, it's 30th of June. So we told ourselves we had some things to do. So let's put them into perspective. And we started by celebrating each other until we got to have the hard talk of, yes, this seems okay, but what have you not achieved? It's okay to sit down with somebody who will hold you accountable. Even for companies, I mean, and we really appreciate CJ for what you did. Don't worry about it would have been a bumpy ride for you. Karen served you right. To even bring an outsider so that they can give you a talk, not because they are prepared, but because this is what is supposed to be done. And then they help you to realize, oh yeah, have we been doing A, B, C, D? Have a checklist. Don't just say, I will buy a car, and then when you realize you're not buying a car, you add pet. And you say, I'll buy a carpet.
You saw that thing, right?
Oh my God.
You saw that thing.
Don't change just for the sake. Yeah? And when you have that checklist, you should have told yourself, this short-term goal is towards helping me get the long-term goal. Right. For instance, you wanted to buy land. Have you even identified real estate companies that are selling land and doing a background check on their credibility? You might not have even paid a deposit of 1 bob, but at least there's something you're doing towards it. I'm also a believer that a week can change your year. But it cannot change your year if you sit and wait for it. You must be working towards it. A corporate and people need to ask themselves, what is the impact I wanted to feel if I could have achieved X, Y, Z? Maybe my car would have helped me to be arriving early to work. So have you started practicing arriving early to go to work. And you know, some of the things we prepare for, we don't know that some assets come with some liabilities. Are you prepared for it? You want to get married. And you even had a prayer that by the end of the year you will get married. But you have not gone out of your comfort zone.
I saw this coming. I was laughing before.
To start dating. Yeah, you need to go out of your comfort zone and ask yourself, have I started now going to meet people? And it's not for Bobby. Sorry for this weather, Bobby. July reminds you the essence of dating until August comes.
Ninunue heater. Chai haisaidia. Nimekunywa chai.
Yote ya kutosha.
Hata uji haisaidia.
Ya kuchacha.
Haisaidia.
Usikonde. Go there and ask yourself, have you gone out of your way? Your year cannot be the same if you're doing what you did last year and you did not achieve. I think it's Confucius who taught and said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again while expecting different results. How many of us are insane without our knowledge? How many companies are insane without their knowledge? That they are doing what they used to do last year. We are still running meetings the way we used to run them last year. We are still shouting at people the way we still used to shout at people last year. We are having bad people who are even making it bad for our culture. I think at the beginning of the year I spoke and I said, some decisions have to be made even in corporate. If you're having one bad person and this person is making it rough for 10 people, either remove that person from engaging with the 10 or remove that one person from engaging with the company. Some decisions have to be made. And personally, and you say sometimes as a HR we are soft. Sometimes I also advise the company and I say, this one is a bad omen. We try a performance improvement plan, a PIP. If it's not working, sometimes it's okay to say, we are going to let go of that person for the sake of the business. This is the high time, even for us, we ask ourselves, do we tick? We wanted to run this show to make it educative. Maybe when CJ buys us breakfast, we should be sitting down and asking ourselves, are we really helping the people achieve what we wanted to achieve with this show? Because it can also not be a Tuesday where we come every now and then, oh, it's a Tuesday, so I have to wake up early so that I go for the show. Is it growing me? And for us, the four of us, it's also important to ask ourselves, does this show add value to me as Ken? Before it adds value to Bobby, does it add value to me as Ken? Sparing those 2 hours because we have to wake up early, drive early, come here, discuss. The other people who are doing whatever they are doing, you cannot just have a norm of you sleep late and wake up early just to go and do a job. What value is this job adding to you? When Bobby is saying this is the week of paying salaries, yes. But what else are you chasing in your life in 2025 besides a salary to pay off your debt? Are you growing as an individual? You cannot grow if you are still the same person. You're still the toxic person. I think we have belabored the issue of toxicity in this show. We cannot grow if we are still entertaining the bad cultures that are running in our companies. So it's the high time to tell ourselves, if January to June was not good, July to December should not be the same, because it will just be a calendar year. Oh, 2025 ilikuja. It was the year of our Lord. Let's look forward to the year of our Lord, 2026. And then what? At the end of the day, have you wasted yourself? Have you had the same friends who your parents have been complaining about? Have you had the same friends who your spouses, and anyway, our spouses complain about our friends, even if you change them? Even if you change a friend per year, ni kawaida, they will still complain. Okay, afadhali ule wa jana kuliko wa leo. But your tomorrow must be greater than today. But for your tomorrow to be greater than today, today you must have worked harder than what you did yesterday. So it's good to compare the 3 days. Yesterday, I did my best. I was good. Today, I must be better so that my tomorrow must be best. And the Bible tells us that 1,000 days in the eyes of God could be like one day. Yeah, you could be toiling and saying, hey, mimi from January to June, nimekuwa tu nikijaribu and nothing is forthcoming. Don't give up yet, because you don't know whether you're giving up when it is time for you to get that diamond. You've been digging deeper, it's okay. You've been giving yourself to the place of work where nobody seems to be telling you thank you, or nobody seems to be noticing that you're doing the job. It's okay for you to tell yourself, in as much as they are not telling me I am doing it, but at least deep down I know I am doing my best. And when you do your best and nobody notices, pat yourself at the back and say, I have tried. From January to June 30th, I have persevered. I can tell you huku nje watu wako na mashida. I have persevered even relationships that are bad. I have persevered feeding from hand to mouth and not saving even a single bob. Pat yourself at the back and say, bad days are behind me. Good days lie before me. You don't know when the good day will come, but at the end of the day, there will be light at the end of a tunnel. Some of our tunnels are longer, some are shorter. And for you who have achieved your goal for 2025 so far, don't think the rest who have not achieved are children of a lesser God, because God's sense of humor one day can transform anything. You know, one day you might be okay, and then you get to hospital and everything changes. I think I was sharing with you off the cuff how my friend took himself to Aga Khan and he just fainted at the reception and he got GBS, and within a span of 1 week we had a bill of 7 million. Just one day can turn everything. Just the same way one day can turn things to the south, it still can turn things to the north. Na sisemi wale watu hugambo ati unaweza angukia game moja ati kubadilishia maisha ushinde jackpot, but it is actually also true.
Yeah.
One game can change. Kuna mtu alikuwa anafikiria Inter Miami itashindwa jana. Kuna mtu PSG ilipiga
Inter Miami. That's what I meant.
Yeah. One day can change, but you have to continue with the hope. Please don't give up. But even as you hope, don't hang on to a thread that you know this one hii inakatika. Usishikilie kamba na unaona inakatika na unasema kuna mtu anaweza kuja anishikilie labda. Even where you're risking to fall, si mbali sana. Ukijiachilia wewe mwenyewe unaweza enda. And for the ones who have found themselves in a rock bottom, your year has not started the way you expected it. Go back to the drawing board, ask yourself, did I have the right goals with the wrong plan? Because a dream with no plan is simply a wish. Stop wishing and fantasizing. Now go and start planning for yourself.
Wow. I love that. Manzi, tuko na 6 months. You cannot afford to give up, Manzi. Imagine you have 6 whole months. We have time. I believe we do have time. So usifeel unataka ku give up. And Bobby, in this generation that we are in, as Ken said, do you feel like sometimes we sabotage ourselves? Because sometimes we don't make the plan. Tutaka ku flow. We just want to go with the flow. Na mkatu nasema leo venye itakuwa ikue juma lenye tumefika hapo ndio watu wako saizi. But do you feel like the young generation, do they sabotage themselves by just going with the flow, or is it just okay to go with the flow na usikue na plans na goals na hizo achievements zote?
That's a very nice question, because I actually do both. I'm somebody who I dabble in a bit of both sides. But I want to talk about both sides. So when you're free-flowing and you're going with the flow, I wouldn't say it's bad, but I also wouldn't advocate for it, because you need a clear destination. You need to know, in December, I'm going to Mombasa. But if you tell yourself, in December, I'm going to Mongolia, Turkey, Kazakhstan, Djibouti, hauko sure, haujui, umeandika tu zote, hauko sure, it kind of hinders you from making like a direct plan about where you want to end up. So I'd say, as someone who does a lot of free-flowing and winging it and just living life and enjoying whatever is thrown at me, it's a nice way to live life. But even behind that, ukichunguza sana watu wanaishi hivyo, kuna some planning behind kufacilitate mtu aishi hivyo. It's not just ati trizex ama tu umeamka ukaanza kuishi hivyo. There is some planning that goes into that kind of life. Hata kama ni planning kidogo. So I'd like to push for people who, there's people with like neurodivergent people. sometimes they have a really short attention span. Sometimes it's difficult for them to stick to the plan. I'd also like to speak to sijui niwaite wanyonge ama niwaite aje, people who I like to talk to people who are still in survival mode. The reason we even talk about resolutions and all these plans is because at the beginning of the year, everyone is posting their mood boards and their Pinterest boards and, you know, their achievements that they want to make this year. And if you're online, you're going to see post ya QT hapo ni Euro tour, sijui buy a car, buy land, finish building my house. Utaanza kujicompare na QT.
Right.
Niwaambia plan zake za ukweli. Nakuanga na kierere, lakini
iko tu sawa.
Inasaidia.
Si tunakuwa honest. Ukiona hivyo, unaweza anza kujicompare to QT. But you're failing to take into account that some of us are starting from negative. We're starting from survival mode. You don't have any privileges. There's people, I've said this here before, there's people who are coming from a 2-parent household. Then they were loved and given attention and affection, and then they had money at home. And they never missed meals. They had a car by 16. Inheritance zishaandikwa, vitu maisha shwari. No. They had financial discussions. They had talks at home. They love each other. They have a nice family. Alafu kuna mtu ana come from the opposite of that. I'm not saying you guys, of course you guys are different, but you have to take into account that some of us are starting from survival and some people are starting from their privileges. Na privileges ni different. Kuna ule mtu akona job, kuna ule ana job. Kuna ule anaweza access gym, kuna ule hawezi access gym. Kuna ule mwenye hana good health, kuna ule mwenye akona good health. So we're very, very different. All this to say that when you're making your plans, please make plans that fit. Make plans that fit for you, for your lifestyle, for your life. Plans that make you feel good about yourself. Don't go online and see QT sijui anafanya nini, uanze kujipea pressure kwa sababu this is what you want to achieve. So I say that because sometimes when we're trying to wing it, when you try to wing it, sometimes wale hawa understand kuna planning that goes behind it. They just think life iko shwari, life iko ndena ni sawa. That can get you far, but only to a certain point. The CJs, the Kens, the Robertas, the QTs of the world, these people have plans. They have to-do lists, even for the day. They know, I wake up in the morning, I go to do the Citizen show, I go for a meeting, I eat my lunch, I go hang out with my kids, I go home and sleep till 8 p.m. I wake up, I do a meeting, I sleep at midnight. Sisi ni watu tumejipanga. So make sure that plan yako ina fit your life. If you want to wing it, I mean, you can do it up to until maybe you're 25, but once you start being responsible and now you have things to take care of, you can't do it for long. And always remember what I said. The people who are living that life, unaona dem ukiingia IG unaona leo amerun to errands, hakuna kitu kingine amefanya, alafu anasema spend the day with me as an influencer. Hiyo ni kazi yake. Hizo errands.
Hiyo ndio job.
The job. Wewe usidhani ati yeye ana wing it, ati yeye dem ameenda tu kwa showroom akaangalia magari, akaenda akatengeneza nywele. Hiyo ndo kazi yake na hizo ndo vitu zinamlipa. So wewe una consume content kusema manifesting, she's being paid to do that work. So please wake up, do something about yourself. And I said this taking into account that, you know, we are not starting from the same place, which also brings me to say, please be cognizant of your privileges. Sometimes privilege yako ni urefu, sometimes ni urembo, sometimes ni pesa, sometimes ni network connections, sometimes ni the friends you sit with, the people you're seen with, the places you go. Use it to your advantage. Use it. Because guess what? When you describe wa kwanza wa inheritance, wanatumianga privilege yao every day. The beautiful people of the world, they use their beauty to get ahead. People coming from stable families, they're using their knowledge, their emotional intelligence, their amazing application of logic. They're using all that information to get ahead in life. Remove yourself from victimhood as well. Don't be the kind of person, unajua mimi kwetu baba yangu, mama yangu hakukuwa watoto wetu, halafu nikakuwa mgonjwa. That can only, like I said, that can only go for as far as it can. It reaches a point where the world doesn't care. even the orphans are making it.
Yeah.
Wanaenda, wanasonga, wanapita wale watoto na wazazi. Even the people, and those are most of the success stories that you get to hear. When you hear success stories of, hey, Cutie, tell us your story. Oh, mimi venye nilitoka huko kwetu nini. Kila mtu ako na background story na kila mtu ako na pali anatoka. So use your privilege, but also know these things can only get you as far. I love what CJ said in the beginning. He said, even the way you lead your life and the things you do, unaweza tu fanya mpaka level umejifikisha. And I've just remembered, yesterday when I was in the house, I was thinking about what sets us apart from, let's say, maybe animals or plants. Because I truly believe animals have emotions as well. Yes, I think animals use their brains to think as well. But what makes us different? The difference is in the intelligence, the deliberation, the intentionality. It's all of us have thoughts, all of us have feelings. But what makes me kind of more advantage than the next person, it's my ability to regulate those thoughts and emotions, to understand them, to manage them. So if I just sit down and decide, today I'm working on being a better person emotionally, this trickles down in all other aspects of your life, because it means you're more patient. It means you don't have road rage in the road, you're shouting at us. It means you can control yourself. You can breathe. Ken amecheka ni kama amerelate. You can breathe. You can regulate your thoughts. You can tell yourself, let me think like this. Let me go here. That's what makes you powerful, and that's what makes you stand out. So I'm going to finish by saying, please love yourself a little bit extra, because this is how you're able to take stock of all these things we're talking about. When you care about yourself, people ask me a lot, what does loving yourself look like? What does it mean? Loving yourself is in the very small ways. It's in making sure you're clean, you're taking care of yourself. The small things, making sure your hair looks nice, your outfit haina mashimo, skin umepaka mafuta, asubuhi umekunywa maji, ukabrush meno, haukuji kunuka jasho. Hizo tu vitu ndogo. Those are the things that if you start practicing them, your discipline, you'll start to see, oh my goodness, my goals, I'm starting to achieve my goals. And if maybe everyone else can tell us here, some of the goals that we make, even the material goals, sometimes, yes, we make the plan, but you don't know when it'll happen. Sometimes it can happen earlier, sometimes it can happen later. I've seen even people like my mom, you have a dream. Like my mom, before she bought her first car, she had never gone to driving school, and she was in her 40s. She didn't know how to drive. And she used to talk about one day, she's going to have a car and she's going to drive her parents. It used to just be a talk. And then she started going to driving school chini ya maji. And then one day she just came home with a car. Nobody even knew I didn't know she could afford a car. I didn't know sikujua alikuwa serious. So easy goals venye Ken amesema, unaweza ziachieve kama mimi before at the end of the year. You can achieve your goals way earlier than you anticipated. Sometimes you wake up and you just go and buy a car. Sometimes you wake up and you just buy that plane ticket. You don't even need to think about it a lot. Why? Because if you've been putting in the work, kila kitu ina increase, kila kitu inaongezeka. Kama mimi, sijui kama naweza disclose, lakini wacha tu niseme personally, the way I've decided to rest, my savings some way have increased. I don't know how. Of course I know how. Yeah. No, of course, okay, that's true also. But there's an intentionality to it. I'm not just sitting, I'm tracking my money, I'm budgeting, I'm knowing what is going when and how and why I'll get how, what. So my life is even in order. It's very, very intentional. You can start at any time. You can finish at any time. Please believe in yourself, love yourself, choose yourself. Show up. Show up. It's never too late. Saizi tunaanza the second half, the end of the year. Start today. If your goal is to rest, if your goal is to sleep better, if your goal is to look hotter, if you want to be beautiful, if you want to feel good about yourself, sit down, make a plan, and now start working on it. Doesn't have to be a big deal. Kama watu wana go through depression, saa ingine keeping yourself alive is the achievement. Just being alive and waking up, breathing, brushing your teeth every day. Tunaweza sema at the end of the day, leo niliamka nika brush meno manze. So love yourself.
Just, CJ, under a minute, please just give me your takeaway on this.
Well, you make your plans, define your path, count the price that you'll have to pay, embrace the process that you'll have to have, pace yourself, and then eventually, you know, celebrate the perfection of it with time. Yeah.
Ken?
Work like a duck. When you see a duck on water,
Yeah.
very calm, very cool, calm. Everybody wants to take photos of the duck, but chini ya maji, that duck must continue working. Sometimes you don't have to tell people what you're doing. Let them see the results. But at the end of the day, make sure that you're working. Also, don't tell everybody. Not everybody will celebrate when you're having the little wins. There are people who are at the last stage of becoming witches, which is being jealous. Jealousy is the last stage before somebody becomes a witch. They will be jealous of you and they will want to undercut. I have always insisted, some of your friends have PhDs. It's called a pull him down, pull her down. Don't have those friends who always want to pull you down. Change, it's never too late. The year is still young, you can achieve quite a lot.
Thank you so much, guys. The panel, Mr. Gisharu from Nakuru just says, very informative, I have learned a lot. And Lioness Africa said, high reasoning, nice conversation, and very, very important conversations. I always love the feedback even after this the show. So thank you, guys, and happy new month again and again. We'll see you next time. Same place, same time. Keep warm and have a very lovely Tuesday.